There's a lot of excitement at MGM Studios in Culver City, California, where we are at this very moment, because the lion roars again. In other words, production is in full swing at MGM once again. And one of the pictures in production now, we've just come from seeing some what they call rough cuts of it, is called The Sunshine Boys. Perhaps you remember reading some time ago that George Burns and Jack Benny were going to play the two major roles in this, and then the untimely death of Jack Benny, of course, changed all that. Well, George Burns is still in the film, and playing opposite him is Walter Matthau. They play two aging vaudevillians who have been separated for a number of years. And the nephew of one of the vaudevillians, played by Richard Benjamin, is trying to get them back together again to do a TV special. It's a Neil Simon script, so you know that it's funny, but it also has a lot of pathos in it as well. The picture, I don't often like to go out on a limb and make predictions, but based on what I saw just a few minutes ago and based on the audience reaction that I observed, I will go out on a limb and say that the next Academy Award nominations will certainly include the Sunshine Boys, George Burns and Walter Matthau particularly. And surely to goodness, they would stand a very good chance of winning. The picture is in production now, and we're going to give you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about it. This is take 3 and the corrected version of this intro for the Sunshine Boys with Bobbie Wygant. There's a lot of excitement going on at MGM Studios in Culver City, California, where we are at this very moment, because, as they say, the lion roars again. Production is in full swing at MGM Studios. And one of the pictures in production now is a Neil Simon comedy called The Sunshine Boys. Now, perhaps you remember hearing a little bit about that. It was a Broadway show that is now being made into a film. And originally, Jack Benny and Walter Matthau were going to play the two aging vaudevillians. The untimely death of Jack Benny, of course, changed all that. So now Jack Benny's longtime and very dear close friend, George Burns, is playing opposite Walter Matthau. They're two aging vaudevillians who have been separated for quite a few years. And the nephew of one of them, played by Richard Benjamin, is trying to get them back together for a TV special. Being Neil Simon, of course, it has a lot of comedy, but it's also going to have a lot of pathos. We have just come from seeing some rough cuts of this motion picture, The Sunshine Boys, and I don't really like to go out on a limb and make predictions. That's not my bag, but I think I will in this case, because based on what I saw and based on the audience reactions that I observed, I'm going to say that The Sunshine Boys will surely have some Academy nominations and probably some Academy Awards, and we'll be telling you more about the Sunshine Boys. As you can see in the background, MGM. We're at MGM Studios at Culver City, California. And you may remember some news reports a year or two ago where MGM sold out and they were no more, but they're back in business. The lion roars again, as MGM says. And we're out here to bring you some reports on some of the new pictures that MGM has in preparation and production now. We've just come from a news conference with Saul David, the producer of a new film called Logan's Run. And I think of particular interest to all of us in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area is that part of that picture is going to be shot on location in Dallas and Fort Worth. The Dallas locations are the Trade Mart, and the Fort Worth locations will include the Fort Worth Water Gardens. And Mr. Saul David was so enthusiastic about these productions, these locations in Fort Worth and Dallas. The movie Logan's Run is set in the 23rd century. And if you've ever wondered or even tried to, fantasize about what the 23rd century is about, well, it can be whatever is in your head. And Mr. Saul David says in his head that the 23rd century is something like this. It's a society that is completely enclosed in a glass dome. And it's an area perhaps the size from Philadelphia to New York. And the people live only, and this is rather sad to think about, they only live till age 30. And everybody knows what age everybody else is in because their clothes are designed, are color coordinated according to the age they are. For instance, if you're 9 to 13, you're going to wear yellow, and if you're 13 to 23, you're going to wear green. 23 to 30 wears red, and then at 30, it's all over and you're in white. That's one concept of the 23rd century. And it's a perfect environmentally controlled dome. And apparently there's no sickness, and everybody is perfect because there's a place where you can go and have instant rejuvenation. You can have your legs fixed or your nose fixed or whatever. Anyway, everybody's going to be very gorgeous. Mr. David says that philosophically, he thinks of the 23rd century as an extension of what we are seeing about us right now. And he says he doesn't particularly care about a message for the film, but that if there is one, it possibly is that the only sanctuary one has is freedom. That's something sort of groovy to think about. Also, in this 23rd century, in this society, there are no families and no marriage as such, and it's population zero. When one person dies, another person replaces them. Anyway, that's a little bit about what Logan's Run is. I can tell you also that it stars Michael York and Peter Ustinov. And we'll be having further reports about Logan's Run from MGM Studios, Culver City, California. If you saw the highly successful film, That's Entertainment, you saw the front of this building. Remember? MGM, That's Entertainment. Well, you'll be happy to know that there's going to be a sequel to That's Entertainment. It's called That's Entertainment, 2, T-O-O. And we have just come from seeing some of the scenes that are going to be included in That's Entertainment. We saw a scene with Eleanor Powell doing her marvelous tap dancing in a red, white, and blue number. But I think the most exciting one we saw, and perhaps you can relate to it if you saw That's Entertainment. You remember the sequences with Esther Williams and where she was, diving through flaming hoops and so forth. Well, believe me when I tell you that this sequence in That's Entertainment, T-O-O, is one that I think tops even the original one in That's Entertainment. It's Esther Williams at Cypress Gardens, and she's doing the most fantastic things on water skis. She did have doubles for a little bit of it, but we talked with Saul Chaplin, the co-producer, and he said that most of that on water skis is really Esther Williams. The film is not speeded up. It's really, what you see is what took place. And it's from one of her films called Easy to Love. It wasn't a particularly noted film, but it does have this one sequence that, believe me when I tell you, it's just gangbusters. The original sequence was 8 minutes, and it has been cut to 4 minutes for That's Entertainment, too. Also, we saw a Fred Astaire, Sid Charisse number that was great, all of you from Silk Stockings. And I think the other one that stands out in my mind is, remember in the original That's Entertainment, we had Gene Kelly doing his famous Singing in the Rain number. Well, this one for him in the sequel I think is equally as exciting because it's a number that Gene Kelly does on roller skates. And it's from a film called It's Always Fair Weather. In addition, you will be seeing a Maurice Chevalier, Hermione Gingold scene from Gigi called I Remember It Well. And a fabulous thing with Betty Hutton, remember her, and Howard Keel doing the Annie Get Your Gun. There's no business like show business. And you're going to be hearing more about That's Entertainment, too. We're at MGM Studios in Culver City, California, and we have just seen some rough cuts, as they're called, from a brand new motion picture put out by MGM because the lion roars again, you know. It's the Sunshine Boys. Now, you may remember reading something about this film because Jack Benny was slated to do a role in this film with his very dear lifelong friend, George Burns. Well, after Jack Benny died, they decided to go ahead with the film using George Burns and Walter Matthau. I don't often stick my neck out and make predictions, but I'm going to make a prediction that the Sunshine Boys will have some Academy Award nominations, if not winners. It's a story about two aging vaudevillians. They've been apart for many years. And now the nephew of one of the vaudevillians, played by Richard Benjamin, is trying to get them back together for a TV special. It's a Neil Simon script. It has a lot of